Hello and welcome to the Saltcast. My name's Ryan Johnson, and I've got Jason Parr and Paul Johnson on with me today. Welcome, guys.
Hey Ryan, good to see you.
Hello, hello. Good to be back, Ryan.
Well, you guys are sounding good, looking good. Hope you guys are
Oh,
feeling good.
you are kind.
So kind. Feeling great.
Uh,
Feeling great.
oh, good. Well, today I don't know if our listeners know, but this year is Peisner Johnson's 30-year anniversary
Yeah,
coming up, and that's pretty big. And Jason, this is your 26th year with Peisner Johnson.
it is indeed.
Um, that is significant. That is awesome. And I remember you talking about and Andy talking about how they used to get deliveries of papers. And sometimes I think they would like hire someone to put together the binders of tax law that they had in their office. And I think PJCo was founded, you know, pre-internet and Google. So,
Yeah,
so
there's no doubt. It's interesting. 3 decades. Like you said, I'm in my 26th year, and we have seen technology change drastically, right? So the firm started in '92. I started in '96, and we didn't have laptops. We didn't have the internet. There was no Google. You couldn't search. My kids don't even know what a bibliography is. When they would do homework assignments, I would ask them when they would write a report, um, make sure you do your bibliography, and they're like, "What?" So yeah, you gotta cite your sources, and they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, we know how to cite our sources. We just put a URL link indicating where it came." Oh, yeah, that's right. You've only known the internet, so no cell phone in the early days. Didn't have the ability to communicate that way. Just had landlines, long distance. Man, everybody can remember long distance because you spent so much money in the 80s and 90s on long distance before it was included. Well, when long distance became included, a lot more communication um, in a long distance method. But
Yeah, I
as you
remember when I
mentioned,
had to pay for my text messages. Every text message I
oh
sent, I
gosh,
had to
yeah.
pay a fee for. That's as far back as I can remember. Not to age ourselves here, but
yeah, no, we had a plan in our family. We have 6 children, and the oldest children, obviously, the cell phones started coming around in their world, and you paid for text messages, and
mm-hmm,
but you could have a limit was included. It's
mm-hmm,
like 300 text messages a
mm-hmm,
month, not a minute, a month.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And so they were limited to 300 text messages, and they would get frustrated with friends that would text them and use up their messaging. And so when our younger kids came along and got phones, we tried to maintain the same limit just to keep them off their phones all day long. And that they just weren't having it. Once they learned that they had an unlimited supply of text messages, I guess they chose to use them because
Shoo.
we started getting into the thousands and tens of thousands. I don't even look at the bill anymore to track how many
Oh,
text messages actually occur, right? And now there's iMessage and all sorts of other ways to communicate in different
Uh,
apps, WhatsApp and Vox, and there's just so much that connects us. But as Ryan mentioned, if you wanted to know how a state um, felt about a certain issue when it came to sales tax, we had these binders. We had whole bookshelves full of these binders with these really thin paper leaflets that had the entire legislation written out on them. And you would have to go find the spot that had your state, and then you had to find the section of type of tax and type of situation, and you just had to pine down into the statute, and you couldn't just link to the regulation or the interpretation. You had to go to different binders for that, and you had to look that stuff up. My job when I first got here, one of my jobs was every month we got these manila folders in the mail full of leaflets. And what it was that was the new legislation that superseded old legislation. And you had to go into the binders and you had to pull out the old one and insert the new one. You couldn't make a mistake there or you couldn't find the answer, right? those leaflets had to go in the right place. You put them in the wrong binder, wrong place, you're never going to find the answer. Anyway, so fast forward 30 years, and everybody knows that technology has changed everything, but technology has truly changed sales tax processes. We're huge fans of technology, and that research that we should do on leaflets moved to online research. Online research today is phenomenal. Your ability to get around, to see things, to learn what you need to learn is incredible. But more incredible is the fact that that research in real time is now encoded in a lot of technology providers' tax codes, as we call them. And so in your accounting system, your billing system, your shopping cart, whatever the case may be, you can essentially augment your sales tax processes in real time by it going out and finding an accurate rate based on where the sale is occurring and an accurate taxability on the item that you're selling and the location that you're selling it. It's really, really incredible if you've been in the business for 30 years and you see how you used to do it and how it's done now, the decision-making process that occurs. But here's something interesting about that, and Paul knows a lot about this too. We talk to people consistently who say the biggest issue they have with automation is it's just not set it and forget it. You kind of think in your mind that software companies will bring the pricing down and increase automation, and you can just set it up and you don't have to necessarily monitor it or stay on top of it. But we talk to people on a daily basis that really just say they gain so much confidence and peace of mind when they talk to a person. They have a question, they don't understand something, there's a hiccup in the automation, whatever the case may be, they want to talk to people. And that's probably the biggest complaint about automation is the inability to navigate and identify an error or a problem because there's no one to talk to. You could almost get to a point of set it and forget it on that front end for rates and taxability automation, and there's really a lot of great applications out there and technology providers. But where people really start to run into some problems is where are they supposed to be registered, how should they get registered, what tax type should they register, what forms should they be remitting, and then in particular the returns aspect. That whole aspect is not even close to set it and forget it. If somebody tells you you can just set it and forget it, I'm not going to say that they're lying to you. I'm not going to be that abrasive. But they're withholding some stuff that you haven't dealt with yet. And those of you who have dealt with it, you know some of the difficulties in the set it and forget it. It comes down to inaccurate returns, overpayments, underpayments compared to what you collected, and notices, managing notices that may come into the door. And it's not always because there was an actual error in the return. There's a lot of notices that go out that are just consistent and continuous. So what we say is technology can absolutely augment your sales tax processes, but it doesn't replace it. You still need some hands-on approach to understanding what to do in different circumstances.
In most cases, you absolutely need that automation. Without the automation, you're going backwards, right? We don't want to go back to the leaflet days, and we don't want to go back to physically updating sales tax rates on transactions or even monthly. Hey, the sales tax rate changed. Let's go in and update our system. So automation is key in a lot of aspects, but in every aspect, nowhere near. And I think businesses quickly realize that once they're audited. Once they're audited, the state comes in, they start imposing things, asking questions, and you realize, oh crap. Yeah, I mean, I was told I could just set this and forget it, but clearly not. Or at some point they realize that they're losing money from the business side of collection and remittance of tax because refunds aren't taken into account or overpayments of tax occurring or whatever the case may be. And so from the return side, it's a complete mess. But unless you're like monitoring that or running some P&Ls or, just checking basic journal entries, here's what I got in the payable account, here's what I paid. That's not it doesn't tie. And so automation is good, and we're not disputing that at all, but you need somebody to help understand the automation and how to utilize the automation, rather than reaching out and chatting with a robot or some AI or some whatever it may be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we like to say that when you have a sales tax question or problem, you want to talk to a sales tax practitioner, not a sales tax rep, right?
Yeah.
Because you might have an issue. Listen, we understand, right? Sales tax rep's going to be empathetic. We understand your situation, and we want to expedite that for you. And we happen to have this 5-figure support package that we can sell you, and then we can expedite your issue. And instead of it taking 4 weeks, we could get back to you in 4 days. Right? It's probably not that bad, but that's
Yeah.
what you always
Yeah.
run into, right?
Yeah.
And so we also say here
Or
at Peisner Johnson that collaboration builds confidence, right? And so sometimes you just want somebody to bounce the issue off of, so you know that you're at least moving in the right direction, or you have some
Yeah,
more confidence when you're moving in that direction.
definitely. I was just going to add, if they don't offer you the 5-figure quicker turnaround package, the other solution is, sorry, we don't support that, or I can't handle that notice, or, oh no, we didn't file that return. You're on your own. Nobody likes to be left in the dark and stranded and unknowing what to do, right? You want
Yeah.
an answer, you want a solution, you want some peace of mind, you want some collaboration, you want somebody who's been in the business, who's been around, who kind of has seen things. Okay, this is how the legislation reads, or this is what actually is the law. And then here's some pros and cons and some other options or solutions that you could look into. It's just so helpful, so valuable.
So what you're saying, Paul, is the fee that you pay for set it and forget it doesn't cover everything that could happen? I mean,
This is true. You got
well,
to look into
sometimes the
to the
scope
fine writing.
changes.
It's true.
The fine print sometimes is just too small to read.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no doubt.
Remember in Santa Claus when he's reading the Santa Claus, right? And he's got to get out the bigger magnifying glass and the bigger one. Then he gets out the mammoth one, so he could actually read
Oh,
that
I
fine
see what
print.
it said. Yeah. It said that if you needed expedited support on an issue created by our software, you would need to add this additional support package for us to look into it more quickly. And we might still
Precisely.
respond that we don't know. That's probably the most
Precisely.
maddening thing, right?
Oh my
Super
You
frustrating.
can't get to the bottom of it, or you just don't know. And we're probably making it sound worse than it is, but we know we're touching some pain points that people have faced. And probably
Mm,
the biggest issue we face is we want to consistently simplify the approach and the process, because that does help you gain confidence and more peace of mind in the steps that you take. And we want to educate the marketplace across the board, right? You don't have to settle for something that you know is not working how you wish it could, but you just don't know that there's a better way, or a way that would essentially knock your socks off. Be like, sales tax is a non-issue for us because it's just taken care of. Not set it and forget it, right? Because our approach is we're going to be in contact with you in communication. You're going to be able to reach us. You have a dedicated person on your account. You have consistent access as you need it or want it, and as questions come up. And what we find is people really, really appreciate that. When we have clients, without soliciting for a testimonial, just share with us how appreciative they are, because they have sales tax taken care of, and they can access us and ask questions and get answers. And they feel on top of it because they know from communicating with us that we're on top of it. That's just a big
yeah.
deal that you can't get if the system if the system is doing everything and you can't engage with the system, then sometimes you're just so frustrated.
Yeah. My heart goes out to those listeners who are experiencing these struggles. Please reach out to us. Let us help you.
Yeah. Yeah, the
It
call
doesn't
is
need to be
free.
that difficult.
The call is free. Honestly, it's free and it's not a hard sell. It's truly to learn about your situation and collaborate, to just gain some confidence on what to do next.
I totally agree there because, sometimes people have questions that cannot be answered by a Google search, right? And sometimes just having that answer, quickly can make a big deal. It's something that's keeping you awake. It's like, what do I do in this situation? Like, I've got this situation, I don't know what to do. And we even now have a chat feature on our website, so you can get a hold of us even quicker.
Yeah.
Chat with us live. So sign up for that What's Next call. Get your questions answered today. Why wait any
Amen.
longer? And
Amen,
we'll let
brother.
you know. We'll let you know if it will require some extra research. A lot of times, Jason and Paul can answer your question off the top of their head.
True.
So thanks, guys, for being on today, and we hope to see you on another one.
Thanks, Ryan.
Take care.